Hey guys, Obai with IT Accuracy here, and I wanted to speak with you about email security. This is really important because there's a lot of phishing scams, spam email, CryptoLockers, a lot of malware coming out and hackers trying different techniques, a lot of social engineering. And so I wanted to show you guys kind of some tips and tricks of what to look out for. So I'm going to share my screen with you here, and you will be able to see some of the things that are working against almost everyone out in the industry now. So the first is, I'll show you an example of an email. If you see here, that says Wells Fargo charged for $4,000. So as you can see here, it says Wells Fargo, looks very legitimate. Wells Fargo email, your card was charged. And you'll notice here, charges instead of charged. That's one thing to look out for, sometimes misspellings. Charged for $4,000. And it says here, if this was not you, please log into your account to review here, right? So first thing you'll notice, if you click on this, you'll notice that the email isn't actually from Wells Fargo. It's from Wells Fargo team 2021@gmail.com. That's your first indicator that this is a BS email. This is not real. Now, beyond that, if you click, and hopefully you don't click on the link, right? Once you've looked at the email, but if you end up clicking on this link, here's another thing you'll find out. You come into Wells Fargo on this page, it looks like it's Wells Fargo. There's a username, there's passwords, it looks totally legitimate. But if you notice in the URL here, it's www.jkdflsjdf.com/. This is not Wells Fargo. If it was Wells Fargo, it would be www.wellsfargo.com, and then whatever after that doesn't matter. But this is how you know this is not legitimate. Whatever comes before .com needs to be Wells Fargo. So this is another red flag that this is not legitimate. If you put your username and password in here, they're going to now have your username and password. And this goes for, email sites, other banks, other personal accounts, almost anything that needs a username and password. Now here's a little bit harder one to look out for, but again, looks like wellsfargo.com. If you notice, www.wellsfargo with a Q. It's another thing to look out for. Hackers and social engineering, spam people are getting very creative with the way they're tricking people. And this is a lot harder to see because if you just glance over this, you might not see this Q. It might look like Wells Fargo. So these are things you have to be very diligent about, especially if you find an email like this and you're like, wait, what? $4,000? That wasn't me. Okay. So that's very, very important to understand and just be on the lookout. Always be diligent, because you might also get an email from your CEO or your manager or one of the directors, and it seems like an urgent email. But if you look, it might say their name, but it's not their email, because you can put whatever name on any email that you'd like. So look out for those types of things. Now I wanted to talk to you guys about CryptoLockers. CryptoLockers take email security concerns to the next level, because what they do is that they'll infiltrate your company's servers, file shares, different types of systems, and lock everyone out. An example of this recently was the oil pipeline a couple months back. And basically what happens is you're in an email and you click on an attachment or you click on a link that you're not supposed to click on, it'll download this CryptoLocker to your systems, and like a virus, it just infiltrates the rest of your network. And what it'll do is it'll take your servers, all your file share, your systems, and it'll encrypt it and lock everyone out. And without the encryption key, you cannot access it. So what do these hackers do is they'll contact you and say, hey, look, all your information is encrypted, pay us X amount of dollars. And they're very smart. If they know that you're a company that's, a $5 million company, they'll ask for $100,000. If in the case of the oil pipeline fiasco a couple months ago, they know this is a multi-billion-dollar organization, they ask for $2 million to be wired right away. And instead of waiting for the FBI to go figure out what's going on and what's happening, the executive branch decided to pay the $2 million so that they can be up and running right away. So these are the things that you have to be very careful of. These CryptoLockers can cripple your business and in some instances shut you down for good. Last thing I want to talk to you about, I want to talk about password management. This is very important because a lot of people in business settings still are using the same password or a small variation of the same password for everything in their lives: banking, email, company accounts, and other sensitive matters, DMV, Social Security. If you do that, the huge risk is that if one password gets compromised, your whole life could get compromised. So it's very, very, very risky. And that's why password management systems like 1Password, Teams ID, even Dropbox now has a password management system that you can use. And these things are amazing because they take each one of your accounts and they randomize your passwords. So you have to remember 1Password. And I know that 1Password is, that could be vulnerable too, but they layer 2 or 3 layers of verification to it. So it's very hard to hack these systems, but it randomizes all your passwords. So if one of them gets breached, and sometimes not by your fault, it could be, Staples.com, Wells Fargo, whatever site, StubHub, they have breaches from time to time, and all their data gets leaked, and that gets put on the dark web. And you've probably seen this in the last 5 years where your password gets hacked and you never even knew why or how that happened. And it was probably from one of the accounts that you had, they got breached, a big corporation. So this is another reason why randomizing your passwords and having a password management system is so important.